You are listening to the Savage FINcast, episode 114, The Present of the Past.
Chicago. A criminal mastermind called Overlord held our city in his terrifying grip. Ordinary cops were losing the battle against Overlord's super freaks and mutants. Then, a miracle happened. When I found him, he had no memory of his past. I helped him find an identity and a life. Now we have a fighting chance. Now we have the dragon.
This is the Savage FINcast, the show whose dogs are barking. My name is Jim Purcell.
I'm Craig Olsen.
I'm Raven Perez.
And we welcome you again to another episode of the Savage FINcast, the internet's only podcast dedicated to Savage Dragon, Erik Larsen, Ant, etc., etc. How you guys doing?
Doing good, fella.
Wasn't talking
Not
to
too
you, I was
shabby.
talking to the audience.
Oh, how's the audience?
Are you expecting
No.
them to respond?
In my mind. Audience in my
Hey,
mind.
listeners. How's it been,
Millions of
listeners?
people shouting back.
Yeah, it's a bit of a pain, really. We should keep it down. But seriously, though, broom shish, how are you guys? We don't get together as often as we should. We're working on that.
It's the pandemic.
Yeah, I feel like we're getting over that hump now, and hopefully things will start. But then we've got things to discuss, like
Yeah, unfortunately,
a lack of dragon.
the situation is going to continue to be tenuous.
Yeah. Shall I just jump right into that?
Yeah, might as
Let's
well.
take it away with a little bit of news, which is kind of what the fellas are alluding to. Erik broke many hearts, thousands of hearts,
Some minds.
by announcing that Savage Dragon is delayed until June.
Just in time for my birthday.
Just
Oh,
in
wait.
time for weddings. Yeah.
Presumably
Savage
that-
Dragon's
The specific issues are the ones... I heard they were being resolicited. So, and the issues in
Savage
question...
Dragon's delayed till June, and the reason why is he said that he wanted to just take a moment, catch his breath, get caught up, just get back on track, on top of things, work ahead a little. Of course, we discussed that he was dealing with his the mother of all writer's block, a writer's block he'd never experienced in 30 years. It finally caught up with his creative ass and put him on his back. Well, cool, he's over it. He's also giving himself a few months to just get a little bit of a foundation before he takes off again. Maybe a little writer's block insurance. So, good for him. Fucking sucks for us. But, I don't know, fellas, how you feeling about this dry spell?
Well, it seems like...
Well, we have Ant, right?
Ant issues are going to continue to come out, and there's that.
Ant doesn't count.
And then there's certain fanzines in the near future.
Also doesn't count.
Well, Raven, I guess there's just no pleasing you.
It gives
Speaking
us
of-
a chance to do our retros.
Yeah.
Speaking of pleasing yourself, there was we won't name names. If you know, you know, but there was a certain movement, comics movement, gatekeepers, you might say, that swore not to masturbate until the release of the comic that their non-leader was going to release. I'm just saying, who among you in the Savage Findom is willing to take that same commitment?
Absolutely not.
No nut. No, never mind no nut November. It'll be a sad sack summer.
No, Raven, I can't get on board with this one.
I know. I
got
don't
a
blame
packed
you.
schedule.
Packed schedule. For guys like you and me, it's a completely different challenge than for poor old Craig. Like, Craig would have to deny his significant other of love. He'd have to be like, I can't, honey. Not until Savage Dragon 262. Be like waiting for your wedding night all over again.
Yes.
It's a nightmare.
I'm sure that would sound reasonable to her.
She'd put that right in the divorce papers. Savage Dragon 262, abstinence.
Or she may just welcome the break.
Oh, let's move on.
So let's talk while we're talking about what's going to fill the void as Dragon is gone. So we still have solicitations up. I don't know if we talked much about 3. I want to hit up Ant number 3.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about it.
Okay, so that should be out almost either, I think, next week, right? We're recording
days from
today's March 3rd for us. I'm not sure when this will come out, but Ant might be out by then. But anyway, Ant 3, as you've seen in the back of Ant 2, is going to have Spawn in it. And basically, it sounds like it's a retelling of Spawn 265, which, if you remember back in the day, Erik wrote and drew, and that featured Ant and Spawn, and Malcolm Dragon appeared. It was kind of a little adventure they had that went from Spawn 265 to 266, and then and also Savage Dragon 216. So it sounds like the next 2 issues of Ant, which is Ant 3 and 4, are gonna kind of focus on Ant's version of that adventure. So I can imagine there'll probably be some repurposed pages, and as a matter of fact, Ant 3's cover is repurposed from 265, and it's the same except for Ant is in a different pose, but Spawn and the villain, I forget his name's like Spider King or something, I don't remember.
I think you're right.
They're the same except for on the Spawn one, McFarlane did the inks, and on this new Ant cover, it's just Larsen's inks. But yes, Ant is in a totally different pose on that.
Yeah,
so,
it's basically the non-noodled version, right? Like no McFarlane.
Yeah, it's just Erik doing, his, I guess, color. I don't know if it was he went straight to inks on that Spawn or how that is, but it's definitely no McFarlane involvement on the Ant cover. Yeah, and honestly, I think, it's a good idea probably to have someone like a Spawn on issue 3 just kind of boost that interest and maybe pull some people in that might normally not have grabbed it.
Agreed.
And then Ant 4.
I have heard that Spawn guy is pretty popular.
He has had an amazing resurgence, though, if you ask me, in the past year with all these comics coming out, and I'm just kind of amazed at the interest in it.
Well, when you lie and say you broke a record you didn't break,
but
it's
I don't
going to
even think
grab
it's
headlines.
I mean,
you goddamn cheater liar.
He's got a lot of Spawn books out there now, and they're all selling.
To somebody.
I don't want to cast any aspersions, but I have the inside scoop. McFarlane made a monkey's paw wish for incredible comic success. The flip side of that was that he has to sound the way he does for the rest of his life. And so that's what it was.
I will take that.
Yeah. And so there you go.
So just getting to Ant 4, the solicitation's out. Right now, the Image website has it arriving May 4th. It's called Enter the Dragon. It's a Savage Dragon Ant crossover from a whole different perspective. Ant travels to Chicago to recruit Malcolm Dragon for our upcoming battle against the forces of evil. Ant comes with our highest possible recommendation. So again, I believe that's probably kind of a retake on Savage Dragon 216.
Absolutely.
That's right. We're going to get to see the Eternal One get rocks fall on his head again.
The cover's got kind of Dragon with the ant kind of leaping off his shoulder, which I believe we will see in Ant 2, which we talk about in the back where he's got that sketchbook. I think it was either Ant 1 or 2, and you can kind of see that, the makings of that cover there.
Yeah, it's fun to note the color discrepancies.
Yes, go ahead, talk about that. Yeah.
Just real brief. I mean, this is still your news item, but like the number 4, if you look on the Image website, dear listener, you'll see the approach that Erik initially took to the coloring on Ant number 4 is different than where he landed. He has sort of a soft gradient on the Image website. And then, of course, if you follow Erik on Facebook or Twitter, you can just, find the final iteration of Ant number 4. And he goes for a harsh spotlight approach, which, hey, fellas, am I alone in thinking that this is an upgrade?
I agree.
No, it's good.
It's glow up.
Also, I noticed that he added the Enter the Dragon banner. That wasn't on the previous.
Nice.
Gotcha.
I do like text on covers.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and it seems like an ongoing theme because we have also got the cover, no solicitation description yet, but the cover of Ant 5, which has the title on the cover saying The End, but Erik on Facebook assured readers that it isn't the end of the series, it's just the title of the story. The cover looks like it's some kind of earthquake with, the viewpoint of looking up from the ground as it's splitting and almost like Ant trying to hold the sides together or standing on each side of the split of the earthquake. It's a pretty cool looking visual. And you can find it on Erik's Facebook.
Based on the previous 2 covers, my thinking here is the end here is the end of the recap.
I think you're right.
I think this will probably make for a trade paperback conclusion, and then the next one will be all Erik.
Well, on top of that, it's an interesting visual given what we know, since we actually have a glimpse into the future, since we know these crossovers. And it's funny you should mention the Chosen One. Was that his name, the Chosen One?
I think it's either the Eternal One or the Chosen One.
The Eternal One.
Shao Kahn was an MF.
But the Eternal One or the Chosen One, the guy who gets crushed by rocks, that was kind of the end of the Ant crossovers. Just kind of there was that cave-in, and then you really didn't quite know what Ant's fate was. And so it's interesting to see this cover 5 with her, escaping a rock slide or pulling someone out of a rock slide.
Indeed.
So it's interesting. I think it creates interest even for people who have sort of read those past issues. You can sort of look at this and be like, oh, shit. I wonder what's going on here.
Now, Raven, you're an expert on this.
Okay.
Is her right boob a little too big?
On the cover to issue 5, she is rendered as right heavy. However, asymmetrical breasts are very common.
I see.
Very common. I made a joke once to a gal in college, a friend of mine, and I said, what's going on, left heavy? And she said, how'd you know? And I was like, that was a joke. I was like, I did not know. That was just a joke. I was like, oh, my. Yeah,
sure, she appreciated that.
Yeah. I pulled an Austin Powers. I was like, how'd you know? I didn't, baby.
I do also have to say that the retro trade dress on these really looks great compared to the standard Image ones. Something about the banner makes the style of logo work better for me.
Maybe because the Ant logo is so old school looking.
I'd say that's it.
Yeah, it's got to be it.
Yeah, on my Savage Dragon,
I think it's actually just too big on the standard covers, and the banner makes it be a little bit smaller. I don't know.
So, the guy's name was the Mighty One.
The Mighty One.
We weren't even close.
Alzaya Stone.
Alzaya Stone. That's a pretty good name to just go by the Mighty One, which is pretty generic. I'm not going to lie, dudes. Listen, Erik has a chance to flesh out the Mighty One a little bit better. And I, for one, would love to fucking know a little bit more about this fucking guy who's another Johnny Redbeard type, just sitting on high, handing out powers.
Well, he was stabbed through the back by Spawn, so unless he's got healing powers, I don't know. Comics.
To know what the hell his deal is what I'm saying. Like, he was just kind of just this fucking, like, oh, it's the Mighty One, and then he just gets killed so easy. And I was like,
He gives people powers. He's like the new Johnny Redbeard.
Right, power broker.
Can he give himself the power to heal?
He gave, what's her name, Spoons'
Brenda Funk
her powers, right? And I don't think we've seen her since then either.
I killed Brenda
Raven
Funk.
killed her.
Oh, you did?
Severed her head with a sewer
Manhole.
cap.
Yeah. Sewer cap. I've never heard a manhole called a sewer cap.
Well, the manhole is what you go in. The sewer cap or the sewer cover is what covers it.
That makes sense.
God, you're right. I just call them manhole covers. Wow.
Elastic character ammo.
Yeah, to me, like, you kind of had the Mighty One had a lot of build-up. Like, he was making Malcolm's life low-key hell by giving weirdos powers willy-nilly, seemingly. Like, who gives Brenda Funk powers? She's just a high school loser that's trying to avenge Spoon. And yet, when he finally does get some screen time, he just gets stabbed like a bitch. So, I, for one, am hoping that these recaps kind of redeem him a little bit. Make him a little more interesting.
Would you like to see him back?
I don't want to see him return necessarily, is what I'm saying. So much as, to me, he was a little bit of an anticlimax. And it would be cool to at least maybe know more about him.
I know Eric doesn't need my ideas, but I really like my idea of the entity lives in the helmet.
That would be cool. See, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about, Jim. As I'm saying, here you have a chance to turn what felt like a bit of an anticlimax character into something more interesting. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I miss those slow burns. I always
back.
talk about that.
Burn it up.
I mean, to be fair, it was a slow burn. It's just the ending.
Yeah. The burn at the end was you got burned for expecting anything.
All right. Last bit of news. Apparently, Jim Valentino showcased a cover for an upcoming Image 30th anniversary book called The Last Shadowhawk. Cover features original Savage Dragon, which is why it's notable to us. The cover itself homages Youngblood #1. It's got the same pose. In fact, it even includes Badrock, who's odd to be on this cover because Liefeld doesn't own Badrock anymore. But
Yeah,
according to
legally.
Well, it's Bedrock, right? Yeah. But
Yeah, how?
I do recall Valentino saying on Facebook that he did clear the proper channels on that. So I guess whatever went on in the background meant he's on the cover legally. At any rate, the cover includes Badrock, Original Dragon, Invincible, Spawn, the Shadowhawk, of course, and Witchblade, which I found slightly interesting. Is that this is basically the lineup that we saw in the Image World Tour arc.
Correct. Yep.
The only new character would be Badrock.
Right.
If we're talking
was there another character besides Badrock, or
no? It was just the 5 of them.
I found it strange because it's supposed to be like the Last Shadowhawk. Like, my big thing was, why not use Malcolm instead of Dragon?
Well, that's a good question. Now, the thing is, Invincible's there, and the end of his book also means that this is more of a flashback, or at least the cover is.
True. True.
I don't know what Witchblade's current status is. And
well, she doesn't wear the sexy outfit anymore, right?
Right.
It's full covering, yeah.
Yeah, so they're all different.
I'm going to say this sucks. I don't like it.
It's kind of...
I'm sorry.
Tell me how you feel.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but, like, here's the thing. If in 2022 you're going to fucking, pay homage to Eric and you're going to pay homage to Savage Dragon, you put goddamn Malcolm on that cover. You put Malcolm on that cover and you have lightning crackling off of his arms and fists so that people know at a glance, whoa, that's a new Savage Dragon. And on top of that, it's just like, I don't know, dude.
It's not like he's doing like honoring the original, 30-year ago characters, because Witchblade wasn't there and neither was Invincible. So
right.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's like, you're not even going to draw the book. Draw the book. You're just going to do the cover? Come on.
I'm okay with that. Honestly.
No, I'm not.
I mean,
that's your opinion.
I don't know if he's drawn interiors in years. He's always had other people drawing Shadowhawk as long as I've been reading comics since the mid-2000s.
Jim, I'm just saying that it's Image's 30th anniversary.
That's true.
And it has been, you had an entire 30 years to build up to this moment. So you could have fucking done 20 pages, however long an issue is, in a year. even if you did one page a month for the previous 2 years, because you knew your 30th year is coming up, you could have drawn this entire book. There's no excuse for not drawing this whole book.
I'm going to tell you,
None.
my irritation with this cover, my specific problem,
on us.
is I'm getting sick of Youngblood #1 being referenced. It seems to be very popular, and it's entirely because it was the first Image comic, and I think that's a little lazy to keep going back to the same motif.
I agree. It's old already. I mean, we get it. I mean, it was a very popular and important book at the time. It signified, like you said, the first Image comic book. I understand why people do it, but it's...
Did either of you get Valentino's timeline of the Savage timeline of the Image universe?
Raven, you did, right?
I did, and it sucked.
I see.
I knew it was going to, and
It was a fucking waste of money.
I knew it.
It was a waste of money. All it was shit everyone knew, and there was no insider baseball.
The reason why I believed it was going to be because he did that for like the Image hardcover for the 20-year anniversary.
Did
I
he?
When everybody did like a story, or was it the 10-year?
It was
Maybe
the 10-year that came out on the 15th.
Was it the 10-year? Holy shit!
I don't remember anything like this.
The one with Dragon's Origin.
Then again, Dragon's Origin is the only thing I remember from the 10
I'm pretty sure it was the 10th anniversary because it was It was anticipated when I was getting into comics, and that would have been 2002.
Ugh. Well, anyway, it had Dragon's Origin, and I feel like Jim Valentino, I believe it was that he did like a timeline thing, and it was not good.
Well, this wasn't good. I read through the whole thing. It was painful. I kept hoping for some cool insider baseball or some cool story or like a fucking anecdote or anything other than just what felt like the most boring, bare bones recount of Image's thing. And it was just weird. It was weirdly like name droppy. Like it's like, oh, Alan Moore does Supreme. Oh, Neil Gaiman works with McFarlane on Medieval Spawn. It'll come back to haunt him. And it's just like, it was shit we knew. It was everything.
It said that?
That's as close as it came. Yeah, it's as close as it came to having personality.
So Jim frantically type.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's a problem, because I had my mic muted.
Oh.
Which
joke's on you.
Yeah, at least we haven't been hearing like farts or anything. But no, dude, it's just basically like...
Oh, no.
Hey. Yeah?
Keep talking. I have to figure something out.
Okay. Well, basically, this is the deal. Is like, I am going to buy this Last Shadowhawk because it has Dragon on the cover and because I'm in my Image 30th anniversary mood and whatever else. But frankly, as an Image fan who's super fucking like hype on Image, period, I'm not super fucking hype on this. It feels low effort. And so, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, what would be hype? It would be hype if Valentino drew this whole fucking thing. It would be hype if Valentino got the other founders to do like a pinup each.
Well, you don't know. You don't know at this point, right? We don't know what the interiors are going to be. We're basing this all on a cover, but... Well,
wasn't it made clear that like it's just him on the cover and then the interior's just like someone else? And
that. Again, I guess I'm not too concerned about that. I mean, he'll probably write it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the hugest Valentino art fan. I won't pick up a book if he based on his art, to put it that way. I won't pick up a book based on his stories either, but I do have some nostalgia for the early Image shared universe, and of course if Dragon's in it, I'm going to grab it just to see what it's about.
Right.
But it's not it sounds like it's a make or break for you if Valentino is not drawing, or you're super disappointed. I would never be disappointed if he's not drawing it.
It's not make or break, but I just think that it's kind of lame. Like, I'm saying that, like, you know, for a lot of people, you know, I get it, dude. Valentino is always a person that has had collaborators.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like that's very, like, you know, festive or
right,
or monumental. You know, I feel like if you want to kind of like, oh, this is, you've been doing this for 3 decades. I'm saying if you're doing it for 3 decades, you know, respect your coworker, your fucking fellows by putting like the proper Savage Dragon on the cover. You know, I don't care if Original Dragon has more sales power. I don't care. I don't give a shit if you think, oh, but people know the Original Dragon from when they were kids. It's like, dude, fuck it. Put Malcolm on the cover, dude.
Do we know if this is a one-shot or like a mini-series?
Hopefully it's the Last Shadowhawk.
But I don't... Yeah, but is it a mini-series or a one-shot?
It's unclear. The cover says issue 1, and it also says first issue in brackets in a while. So I think I think it's a series. Well, he had to put something in the box. It was on the Youngblood cover.
Yeah, it might be cool if he's devising like a kind of Shadowhawk the end, you know.
Tell you what, I love to be wrong in situations like this. Well, and I am buying it, and I hope it's awesome. I hope I'm wrong. I really do.
I think it's worth noting, though, that according to my internet search, Valentino is almost 70 years old. He's like 10 years older than Erik.
Yeah, makes sense.
So what? Cartoonists... I'm sorry, but like cartoonists can crank out stuff until they are like fucking dead. Do you know how many cartoonists have died at the drawing table?
Well, man, he just wants to write, dude.
Writing is a lot more fun, Raven.
Oh, you know what? Fuck that.
I like Angry Raven. It's quite enjoyable.
I'm just not going to pretend that I'm hyped for this. That's all.
How dare you?
I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. And if you love Shadowhawk, send me an email and tell me how wrong I am and convince me. I'm just saying, sell me on why Shadowhawk is awesome.
I can't. I honestly can't.
Listeners.
He was never my favorite.
Well, listeners. if I wasn't clear, listeners, I'm challenging you. not you guys. I'm saying listeners of the FINcast. If you love Shadowhawk and you're sitting there grinding your teeth and thinking, God damn, what a dumbass. He doesn't know anything. Yeah. Send me an email and let me know why I'm wrong and what makes it good. Because you know what I love? I love to be wrong about things sucking because then I discover something awesome. So I will totally change my mind. But I'm just saying.
I think one of the main things about Shadowhawk, I know we really should move on here, is that there isn't a lot of it. I'd be shocked if there's 50 issues of Shadowhawk in its entirety.
I don't think so.
Because it was a series of like 3 and 4 issue miniseries for a while, and then it was a continuation of the first series, numbering wise. I know this because I pulled a bunch of these issues out of dollar bins over the last year.
There were the images of Shadowhawk.
Well, there's spin-offs. I mean, books that are, Shadowhawk 1, 2, 3, and then the
I'm sure you're right. Like 4 miniseries, and then maybe something down like 10 years later.
Like spin-offs, maybe 60, 70 issues. Wouldn't be shocked if it was far less.
Dude, I think it's like you're lucky if you're hitting 30-something.
Oh, really? You think it's less?
Yeah, I feel like Craig's is closer. Yeah. I feel like there's a lot less Shadowhawk than anything else in the Image of founders, you know. I think it's pretty low.
I don't think it tops 40.
That feels right. That feels correct.
I think it's closer to 30-something. But anyway.
Hey, I wish him the best. I hope I'm wrong. I will be picking it up. I'll be sure to let you know. we like to do a little thing where we open the floor up to you, dear listeners, because we enjoy hearing from you. We enjoy having you be part of the show. And we call that the FINteresting topic. And we asked something in the spirit of the 30th anniversary of Image last time. We said, what's your favorite Image-related memory, experience, series, whatever, from the last 30 years? It does not necessarily have to be Savage Dragon related. So, having said that, our real-time fact checker, Mr. James Purcell, confirms that we're 43.
Yeah, it was just really quick and dirty on Comic Vine. Inaccuracies abound here, but seems about
But that's
right.
if you add the spin-offs, right?
No, that's all the titles that are Shadowhawk.
No, son of a bitch.
That's pretty good, though. Craig, you had it pretty close, dude. Having said that, we're going to jump on in, dude. We got some pretty meaty responses.
Before you jump in real quick, let's give out the email that people could write into.
Absolutely.
SavageFINcast@gmail.com. If you want to write in at the end of reading these letters, we'll throw out another topic. And feel free to write in. Or if you want to join in on this one and you missed your chance, we'll read your response for this one as well.
We're also open to hearing FINteresting conversation topics from you, the listener. So if you think we have not given you the best topic, throw out another one. We'll propose it to the listeners. Without further ado, I think we got some kick-ass letters to go through.
All right, so we got, hello, fantastic Finheads. Congrats on the Super Freaks book, and may you have more of those in the future eventually. My last 2 emails must have been sent to the spam or maybe overlooked since you all have been busy. But anyway, I'm happy that Erik wrapped up the Ant series so he could set up for his new run. I like the difference in style he has going on here. I have enjoyed the first issue as well good first issue. I have enjoyed the first issue. As well as good first issue. It's a good first issue compared to some others from different companies. I am definitely going to be getting this series, and thank you guys for the show. Now, for my favorite Image series, good God, I love the Max. It was absolutely beautiful and bizarre. Even Dragon and Mako showed up in it. I enjoy Manhattan projects, Spawn especially once Capullo got on it. Astro City is another great one, but Jim mentioned it. Black Science is an outstanding series. There is so many good ones out there, tons more, but thanks again for keeping the cheers on for 10 more years. That was from James Sheehan.
Thank you, Big Jim, man. Appreciate it. Lots of good picks, and I'm going to second that Spawn endorsement. So
the Capullo years?
Capullo. Greg, is it Capullo?
I don't know. I'm bad with names, dude. Especially foreign-looking ones.
Well,
Seems like it would be Capullo, right?
Yeah.
I always thought it was Capullo, but I guess Capullo is better.
Yeah, you're just saying it really in Americanese.
Phonetically.
Very phonetically.
Capullo.
Greg Capula. All right, guys. Here we go.
I like that Manhattan Projects. It started to get away from me,
No,
but
that's good,
Jonathan Hickman, that Nick Pitarri's got kind of a crazy art style.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
It was a wild comic.
Like, what was the era? Like, about when did that hit? Was that early Image?
Early,
mid-Image?
no, oh god, no.
No,
That's
Manhattan Projects, like
early
215.
Like early, 2010s.
2010s.
I don't think it was as late as 2015. It may have ended in 2015.
Yeah, you're probably right.
What the hell was Black Science?
That was a Matt Fraction, like Violent Sliders type of deal, I think.
Violent
Black
Sliders.
Science? Is that different than... who's the guy that does... Oh, shit.
You're thinking Tony Moore, right?
Yeah, what was that?
Oh, that's Fear
not
Agent.
Tony.
Fear
No,
Agent.
who's the Rick Remender? Didn't he do...
Oh, right. Okay.
That wasn't...
Let me double check who made Black Science. I thought it was... Who did I say?
I think it was Remender. You said Matt Fraction, but I think it was Remender.
Yeah, I mix them up all the time.
They're the same guy.
The thing... Rick Remender, his stuff is hit or miss for me, but what I do like about him is that he sticks with his books and they have long runs.
Yeah.
So if you do like it, you don't have to be worried that it's going to disappear after 4 issues.
Yeah, it was Remender, and it has 43 issues.
Ooh. Shit. Dude, that's what's funny about Image. Sorry to just wax on about Image, but I mean, that is the point here, I guess. That's what's funny about Image is that it's real easy to associate it with just like short, like 6-issue, 7-issue arcs of things. But it has some series that have just gone for like 60 issues.
Yeah. I think like almost every one of Remender's, unless they were dubbed miniseries, have been like 20 plus issues.
Well, it's time. Hey guys, I'm going to make this letter as normal as humanly possible, just to make Raven feel self-conscious doing that V for Vendetta voice. I'm sure listeners are confused and scared by it. As a preamble to your previous FINteresting convo, let me just say it's still shocking how Erik Larsen decided to buy the rights to someone else's character, given how emotionally invested he is in Savage Dragon, that is to say, his own prolific creativity, these many years. Announcing that Ant is coming on the back of Savage Dragon 224, similar to DC Comics, heralding the arrival of Jack Kirby, only to have her show up 4 years later. Her? I think
he's talking about Ant, not Kirby.
Oh, I thought he misgendered Jack Kirby. I was like, not cool, Satyrus. You got to respect those pronouns, motherfucker. In her own book, as the 12th issue of Mario Goli's run wasn't necessarily the best way to go about generating hype. Starting with the first issue obviously makes more dollars and cents. That said, if he draws it, I buy it, provided his art style is still recognizable and not too experimental. I like eccentric artists who go off the beaten path. As long as Larsen doesn't go off the deep end and start calling himself the Eggman or the Walrus while shouting "Goo Goo Gajoob," I'm good with it. While I like weird stuff, I'm not a fan of NFTs, which I view as a scam. It's not even good for the environment. Which brings me to my own FINteresting conversation. If I may, would you distinguished dudes ever purchase an Erik Larsen NFT? Perhaps Jim would be more inclined, given how he's an advocate of digital comics. It would be interesting if he brought this subject up next time Erik sits down for a chat. You know, I used to think Todd McFarlane only draws digitally now because he's so rich and he no longer cares about selling original art, only to learn that he's embracing NFTs, which via smart contracts allows an artist to make a percentage of a sale each time the same artwork changes hands, so to speak. I'll say this about the Toddster. I like how Spawn is still $2.99. And there you have it. A normal letter. Nary a mention of dragon dongs or vaginas. Sincerely,
spoken in a normal voice.
Brought it to it. Had to bring the character. Sincerely, Satyrus Gravis. P.S. Happy anniversary. I salute the ebullient Bonheim of your 10-year-long bromance. P.S. Shout out to Craig, who writes the best letters into Savage Dragon. By the
no
way,
lies
Craig,
there.
By the way, whatever happened to the missive that Raven said he'd contribute?
Good question. Wait. We're not going to...
No, I'm going to address this.
Over this. Yes,
I'm
are.
going to address this right here.
Because this is bullshit. I'm going to tell you that.
It is
right
bullshit. Because check it out. I sent in a
lies.
letter.
I don't believe it.
No, I did. Do you want to know why I'm bringing this up? I sent in a letter, and my little joke was that the letter was going to... Because remember, I've never written into Savage Dragon, right? In 30 years,
right.
I've been reading this book. I've never written in. So it kind of chapped my ass that my first letter was going to have to be like full of praise for you, right? So,
well, and that's what you get, dude. You lost.
No. But check it out. Here's what's so fucked. So I worked really hard, and I wrote this letter where I didn't say anything about you, but the first letter of every sentence in my letter was going to spell out the phrase, Craig is just okay. And so I had to work, right? I had to, like, what's a sentence that starts with O? Or K, you know what I'm saying? And so it was a lot of work. I sent it in, and Erik never ran it. And then he gets on every social media platform and is like, hey guys, send letters. Like, you really need to send letters. These should be here. And I'm just like, bro, I sent a letter. Are you kidding me? I very hard worked on letter. So Satyrus, Craig, everyone who was expecting my Craig praising letter. I'm going to try again at some point, but...
You have to.
I'm just saying, I got shut down. My first ever letter I sent. And
see, that's your problem, not mine.
Wait, hold on. You signed it with your name, right?
Yes.
I find it shocking that you would be snubbed so.
Super snub, dude.
Maybe you just suck at writing. I haven't seen it. I don't know.
Suck at writing? I'm just saying, I worked to make this letter. I worked to make this letter interesting, yet have a hidden message. This was a worked-on letter. I guess
we should, for new listeners who might not be privy.
Right, correct.
We had, every once in a while, we'll do a little game, a trivia game or something.
Quiz.
And the wager here was whoever lost, or whoever won. At the time, we got to decide what it would be, right?
I was going to have you draw a page of a comic.
Right, and you had to write a letter, a measly little letter praising me that would get submitted to Eric.
And listen, dude,
Savage Dragon.
I worked on that letter to make it awesome and to have it have like the hidden message, and it got snubbed. Snubsville, dude. So... I mean, I will try again, Sotiris. I will try again, Craig. I will try again, everybody who was looking forward to that
Right.
letter.
I think everybody that writes in should mention this in a PS until something. Remind Raven until they see this letter printed.
Two more PSs before he's done. PPPS. Jim's woman curling gets 3 thumbs up from me. Those tight pants make my pants tighter. When they scream, hurry hard, I'm hard. Now, this is a curling joke, Jim, so you got to help me. What's this mean?
Well, okay, so when they're sliding the puck down the ice, the people with the brooms sweep in front of the puck. The sweeping melts the ice slightly, which is what causes the puck to curl, or the rock, rather, to quote-unquote curl. And so generally when they're shouting hurry hard, it means they're scrubbing hard to get the most curl.
Wow.
It's why it's the greatest sport on earth. And not just because of tight pants.
Why don't they just say slide? Why do they have to say curl?
Yeah.
Because it's a...
Sliding.
Well, it's like bowling. It's a curling and bowling.
Do you find their pants to be exceptionally tight?
I did finally find out the scoring rules of curling.
He ignored me. I got snubbed. Snubbed twice. This is not my day. Final PS. People not writing in breaks my heart as well. I never break hearts, only hymens. My Valentine's Day motto. Thank you for writing a normal letter, Sotiris Gravis. That was incredibly normal.
So, first of all, I'm feeling very libeled.
He's going to continue.
Anyway, very libeled. The idea that just because I enjoy digital goods, I must be a fan of NFTs.
Yeah.
I despise NFTs.
You villain.
Crypto in its entirety can go straight into the middle of the sun.
Bingo, yeah. That was worth answering.
If Eric got into NFTs, I would probably drop Dragon and delete the FINcast.
Wow.
Whoa. Now, considering, this is what's interesting, considering that Todd McFarlane and Rob Liefeld both did NFTs, I'm just saying it's not outside the realm of possibility that Image, or somebody might be like, oh, 30th anniversary NFT, congratulations.
That's what I was going to say. It's probably a bad time to announce that we're releasing NFTs for the 10th-year anniversary of the FINcast.
Yeah.
They're all ugly monkeys with various dragon fins.
Fins.
They're new Fin tokens.
Oh, you're right. So what we'll do is we will source all of the bad fins throughout history. Put them
and you'll own your very own.
Wrong fin.
Yes. Finally, thanks to the power of blockchain, you'll be able to prove that you own fucking Greg Capullo's wonky fin.
You'll own the Frank Miller Savage Dragon pinup.
Or at least the receipt that you made a purchase.
Just the receipt.
Just the receipt.
You know what? I'm going to answer that FINteresting conversation. Aside that not a lot of people bring up, Everybody talks about the environmental impact. Everybody talks about the fact there's a giant pyramid scam, and both those things are true. But just as an artist, if I can say, a lot of artists are super into it because a lot of artists are, they're normal people. They're greedy. They need money. But, dude, I have seen so many artists get fucked over by NFTs. And what I mean by that is that they're not regulated. And so anybody can steal your work and put it on OpenSea, the website. And so tons of artists have been abused and had their work stolen and sold and profited off of without their permission. And there's nothing that anybody can do about it.
Nope.
And so nobody talks about that.
And I've assumed that the entire time is that these starving artists, creators who want a payday are promised these big dollar sign dreams.
Yes.
And they buy in.
Yeah.
And it's not gonna pay off because the person getting brought in, the person bringing them in is more likely to get paid off, as well as like the system that they use to generate the NFTs. That's why it's a scam.
Yeah, it's a scam in many ways, but for artists specifically, that's definitely a scam. And the funny thing is about big name artists like J. Scott Campbell, Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld doing NFTs is that it's like, okay, big, successful artist who doesn't necessarily need this shot of income. That's cool. I'm glad that you decided to get just a little more money for the money pile. But
I'm sure a lot of them will say they're trying to fill a demand because NFT demand is high. But it's
you know what everybody says? Everybody says everyone's doing it. That's the answer for it, and it's like, cool.
And
what?
And when these names do it, it legitimizes it.
Right. And so that's the thing, is it's super shitty because smaller artists who, like for instance, if Todd McFarlane wanted to raise hell, he's got money. He could raise hell and get his work taken off of these sites. If Johnny No Name with like 10K followers or less gets his work stolen, he has no recourse. He has no power. His work is there. So in this way is what I'm telling you is that little artists are fucked hard by this. Bigger artists profit and do well. And so it's very shitty. I would never even bring this up to Erik because I don't even want to plant a goddamn seed. You know what I mean? Just be
I'm pretty sure he's aware and has already had his no interest.
I'm sure he has no interest. Yeah. I wouldn't even ask him because he'd be like, fuck no. And that'd be the end of it, All right. Craig, you have an opinion on that FINteresting question?
I don't really care. I don't think it's something I'm interested in, honestly, at all. So I haven't looked much into it, but everything I hear, and it just doesn't seem like it's for me at all. I just don't see anything real interesting about it.
It's the ugliest trash.
Yeah, I collect art prints and artwork and things like that.
You buy real art.
I like having it on my wall. I like having the physical thing. I'm not interested in buying a digital copy of something.
It's a joke, dude.
All an NFT is.
I don't like I don't mind like with Jim, you're buying digital comics to read, but to buy something digital to collect, maybe I'm just old school, but it just doesn't appeal to me.
No, it goes against the very concept of digital goods. Because the idea about digital goods is, guess what? Jim buys a copy of Ant digitally. Guess what? There's still infinite copies of Ant digitally for the whole rest of the world to enjoy.
Right. So there's one copy copied multiple times.
Right.
And Amazon and Erik are still getting paid.
Right.
So what is an NFT for?
Nothing. It's funny because they'll say, oh, it has proof of ownership. And this way, it's like, guess what, dude? Copyright law works that way. The minute you create something, it's automatically copywritten. And so you literally don't have to do anything other in this world than just get your work out there. Just let people know that you did it and you're protected. This literally offers no protection. Anyway, enough. This is not the Savage NFT cast. Craig, take it away.
All right. So we got a letter from Jeremy King. Jeremy writes, Hey guys, I've been behind in listening to the podcast, but I spent a recent 10-hour car trip catching up on the last several episodes, so I'll just throw out some comments about some of the subjects you've tackled recently. Jim Lee's Savage Dragon 13. Jim Lee was my favorite artist at the time Image launched, and I devoured the Wildstorm line. I didn't know who Erik Larsen was until I picked up the Savage Dragon miniseries, as I was a huge X-Men fan and not really reading Spider-Man at the time. But I bought all the early Image releases and really loved Dragon, so I was pretty excited when they swapped titles for Image X month. And while Wildcats 14 was a pretty fun read, Dragon 13 was not good. As much as I loved Lee, it was not great art or story. I had hoped for so much more. I was glad that Erik did his own 13, which I do feel counts as an unbroken run. In terms of the lettering, our lettering discussion, he says, Wooten and Morelli both killed it lettering issue 260. I was hard-pressed to pick my favorite. And honestly, after Eliopoulos, Workman, Orzechowski, and Delgado, I don't know who I would pick as a dream letterer. That's a hall of fame of letterers already. Agreed. Ant 12. I've never read any of the original Ant, although I remember when it was coming out. I only picked up the new issues because Erik is doing them. So Ant 12 is an interesting item to me. It makes little sense to me currently, so I don't feel it was totally necessary for the relaunch, but I'm hoping it will work better once Erik makes his way back to it in the regular series. And if Erik felt he needed to do it for his peace of mind, then more power to him. On Image turning 30. Man, I was 12 in 1992, and Image was the most exciting thing that happened in my comic reading life. It's hard to put into words to people who didn't experience it. The energy and excitement surrounding the launch and the early titles. I bought everything that came out from those first couple of years. That's probably my favorite Image memory, just being on the ground floor of this new universe by some of my favorite creators. Each new advertisement, each new title coming out, me desperately trying to earn enough money to buy them all. As far as Dragon goes, just being introduced to Erik's work through that first miniseries is my favorite memory of the series. He goes on to say, congrats on Super Freaks. I can't wait to buy it and read it. And also congratulations on 10 years of the podcast. I only discovered it about a year ago, but I've been working my way through all the older episodes. It's a wonderful celebration of Dragon and all of Erik's hard work, and I'm really glad it exists. Take care, Jeremy King.
Thank you so much, man.
Yes, thank
great.
you.
I totally agree with a lot of those points, like the Ant 12. We'll talk about that as we go, but I still find it's very confusing, even though I did read the first 12, at least the first issues, because so much goes on, and we can talk about that. And I would say his memories of Image, I feel the same way. You know, it was pretty amazing being kind of a young person when Image was starting, and all these new titles coming out and seeing all the ads and being like, oh shit, you know, because I was super into all those guys, as most of us were that were around collecting back then. It was just something wild that I don't think we'll ever see again in our lifetime.
I don't think we will. I totally agree. I don't even know. I think I've said this before, but I don't even know what collective of modern artists could bring that same level of attention.
Yeah, I think it's just something of the time. Like, it's just, yeah. I think what we're seeing now is the movies and the movie stars that kind of bring that kind of level of hype when it comes to like Comic-Con and Marvel stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I mean, even if you had, like, for instance, like, Otley and fucking Daniel Warren Johnson, and like just some of the young, like, big artists that are blowing the fuck up, even if you had them all just team up and come out with just a whole line of new books, as weird as it sounds, in our current market, in the current climate of like the internet where people see new stuff all the time, right?
Yeah.
I just don't think it would land the same.
Who do you think is the last huge comic book personality?
You mean close to the level of like The founding fathers of Image?
Yeah, or bigger. I don't know. I'm just saying, who was the last like big
Kirkman?
comic celebrity?
Brian,
And I don't know if
Michael,
it's celebrities are right, but just talent, I
Like,
guess.
Kay Vaughn,
Bendis.
I'll say Kirkman because
Kirkman's
was
after
on
them
TV.
now.
Wait, I'm
I mean-
sorry. What's your timeline here? What are you saying?
I'm saying the very last large, like the last person to be as big as like just be on that level like that.
Well, I don't know what you're
Kind of.
saying because
So level like the last who's been on like the Image guys level, like the most recent
like
person.
no,
Kirkman?
I'd say it's even later than
There's
that. I'd say
someone-
like Brian, Kay Vaughn and Bendis. Well, Bendis is earlier.
But most people don't know Bendis, though. Most
I
people
feel like
don't-
Kirkman's more famous than
Kirkman's
Bendis.
on
Kirkman's
TV.
Kirkman's famous because he's on TV, but
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, though, is like my mom knows who Kirkman is. She wouldn't know who the fuck Brian K. Vaughan is. Or Bendis. You know what I'm saying? I think it's Kirkman.
well, your mom probably doesn't know who any of the Image founders were either.
At
But
the
she
time, I'm
would've
sure
known-
like McFarlane or
Rob
I
Liefeld
don't
was
know.
on TV, though, is what I'm saying.
McFarlane had Spawn.
Yeah, she knew Spawn, dude. She totally knew McFarlane
He had a
from
movie
Spawn.
and a cartoon.
Yeah, she thought that movie was fucking awesome.
Who do you think at this point currently is the most famous comic guy? Like Frank Miller,
Alex Ross
or Gaiman, or Gaiman, or
Neil.
Alan Moore?
Well, Alan Moore's out. He quit.
Neil Gaiman, if you're talking.
But I mean, living. Like, who's the most famous living?
George
Who
Perez.
died?
Huh?
George
You mean-
Perez.
So no writers is what you're saying.
No, because Jim said Alan Moore's out. He's not doing comics. I just mean like currently living, who's been in comics. Like, who is the biggest?
Gaiman. If you're not saying.
You think so?
I mean, he's got penetration in the book scene, so he's got like multimedia cred.
You think he's more famous than like Frank Miller?
Overall, yeah.
Yeah.
He's more beloved.
Well, there's certainly that, but I just mean Frank Miller doesn't write novels.
I think if
No,
you're
I
talking
get
about-
that.
I think if you're talking about who is loved, I think it's Gaiman because he had like American Gods on TV, and then like
Yeah.
he's got the whole lit scene of just pure lit readers plus comic, sort of avant-garde comic
Right.
lovers. But then I think if you're just talking about just who does Joe Blow on the street know, I'm saying it's Kirkman because of Talking Dead specifically.
More than like Alan Moore and all his movies, and
I don't think people know.
Yeah,
Alan
but
Moore.
he disassociates himself from them, so the
Yeah.
average person isn't going to care.
it's hard for me to understand because I know these people, so I don't really think
Right.
it's hard for me to be like, do people really know? Or
I think
Yeah.
I think Talking Dead, the talk show that airs after Walking Dead, is the only reason I'm giving Kirkman that level. But I feel like Kirkman very smartly used Walking Dead to get himself out there, and so I think that's why Invincible the cartoon blew up. I think it's Talking Dead. I think that's why you put Kirkman.
I don't.
up
I
there.
think because he did a lot of writing on
I
Walking
guess
Dead TV show,
he's
and has
kind
a
of
lot
the new
connections.
generation Kevin Smith.
Yeah. I mean, who would people know bigger though? Is
Yeah,
all
you
I'm
know,
saying.
what? Kevin Smith might be more popular just because people know him,
I feel like he's become a
know
joke.
his face, and because he's not just hiding behind, not hiding, but he's not just behind the scenes and just you're only seeing his work. Like Kevin Smith is fully integrated into, himself into the scene, into
Kevin
TV
Smith's
and
a good
everything.
one. Kevin Smith's a good one.
I mean, he
because-
stars in his own movies.
Well, he just simply said Spider-Man should get a Spider-Man 3 should get a award, and it just fucking blew up, and there was fights over it for days. And I was like, he still got it. Like he can still draw heat.
There's
just
a
by
lot of
saying
non-comic people that know Kevin Smith,
something. Kevin Smith's a good one, dude. That's pretty good.
even though he's not the greatest, talent, but.
And I liked him better fat. I don't like skinny Kevin Smith. I'm sorry.
Although
It's-
to
it's
be fair,
important.
He still's got the jorts, right?
While he is a guy who's wrote comics and such, he isn't really in comics.
That's true. His indie film is the only reason he got to write comics.
No, all right, yeah.
Oh,
I guess,
man,
you just forget that. He's so ingrained in the community.
Yeah.
It's Kirkman. I'm telling you, it's Kirkman. Kirkman's the most known. Gaiman's the most beloved.
I am not like convinced Kirkman's that well known outside the comic community. But anyway, we've gone on and on. It was just an interesting question.
You say it was
FINteresting.
All right, next letter. Hello there, y'all. This is my quick take on the previous FINteresting conversation. I'm glad that Erik finished Ant, mostly because I've read several issues of a comic series that would just end without a conclusion. It sucks trying to find information from the writer explaining what happened and what was coming in the future for the series only to never be told. Maybe that's on itself could be the next FINteresting conversation. What series ended it that never had a proper conclusion that you wish would have had one? As for my main topic, my favorite Image comics that I grew up with are, excluding the obvious one, Gen 13. My first interaction with Image Comics. Love the series and Caitlin Fairchild. Super strong, but mink character. Crimson. My first interaction with Humberto Ramos art and the supernatural genre outside of Buffy and Angel. Battle Chasers. Just for Joe Mad art and maybe a certain redhead. The 10th. I just loved the art. Dynamo 5. Just good all around. Battle Pope. Stupid fun with a really hot Virgin Mary. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Because I always loved the Turtles, and I loved this version of them. Okay, guys. Wish you the best and congratulations on the awesome news of the collab comic that will be published. Can't wait to get my hands on it. Andre R.
So all these are like early 2000 comics, right?
Yeah, but I feel that Andre definitely made wise choices because you notice most of his stuff had hot babe in it. So these were, I can tell just by the choices and the passion for the hot character. And also, too, jokes aside, like influential, like his first supernatural book. Like these were kind of like keystone picks, it sounds like, to him, like pivotal moments, you know what I mean? So I like these picks. I think all of them have a strong visual or they're fun in some way that is unique to them. I like this list. Yeah, oh yeah.
Dynamo 5, that's the Jay Faber, right, Jim?
Yes. That one's actually, of all these, it's actually the latest one. It was like...
Yeah, didn't Malcolm cross over in that?
He did.
Yeah.
He's on a cover even, right?
Yes.
So would you say that's like late 2000s?
Yeah, I'd say around 2010, 2012.
It's like young, purple shirt Malcolm.
Yes.
No?
You know, I'll say that what's funny about this list and what I like about it too is that like he's talking about like his first exposure to Humberto Ramos wasn't like X-Men, it was Crimson. And like he talks about, he's like, you know, I like Battle Chasers just for the Joe Mad. Like what's cool is this is like a list composed of some of the reasons like why I like Image. It's like, man, you know, these were like creator-owned properties.
Battle Pope.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, you could really feel the unique voice in these properties. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, at that time, Battle Pope was being reprinted because, you know, Walking Dead was popular, but it wasn't a TV show at that point. And Invincible.
Well, actually, there was I think a web series. It was animated very poorly.
Well, he meant Walking Dead.
Invincible, not what did I say? Walking.
He meant Walking Dead wasn't a TV show.
Yeah, Invincible was like an MTV.
But what I'm saying is, Battle Pope was.
It was before the reprint of the comic. I thought it was after.
I don't know about the timing on that. I just know it exists.
I'm pretty sure it was after. Was it on like Spike TV or something?
Yes, or MTV, one of those two.
I remember the MTV thing.
Invincible was on MTV as like a motion comic.
Oh yeah.
Very poor.
Motion comics. I'm glad that didn't work.
Glad that it's fucking NFT of its time.
All right, I'm going to get through this because I want to get to the meat and potatoes soon.
Yes, sir.
This is from Tony M. He says, Yo, FINcast crew. Hate to be the continuity cop, but the FINteresting convo you referred to this episode, which I don't know which episode he's referring to at this point, our last one, but or the one before it. But he said, was put out in episode 109, and you read at least one response by me in episode 110. I think the last FINteresting Conversation topic was who would be a dream letter for Savage Dragon. Anywho, incredible news on the fanzine-style compilation book. Awesome sauce. Congrats on getting it published. I will definitely be picking up that one. I didn't even remember rereading some. I don't know. Our bad if we did, but
You know what that warrants?
once in a while.
Well, not to be a continuity cop, but we didn't get any responses to the letter question.
I know, right? We did finally this time, right?
Oh,
very
it was
first letter.
mentioned. I don't know if he gave his suggestion.
That's right. He didn't pick.
No.
They all can't be winners.
Boom, 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 boom.
So that
Guess what?
segues into what?
That
All
is
right.
the end of that. Thank you, everyone, for writing those letters, Jim. You got a new one for us, baby.
Yep, we got a new FINteresting Conversation. FINteresting Conversations are topic concepts that we prompt to you, the listeners, to write in to us with your answers. You can always email us at savagefincast@gmail.com and let us know what you think. Our new FINteresting Conversation is Erik mentions that Ant looks like his art in Savage Dragon 83. He suggests that then that it may change. If so, what approach would you hope Erik would take on Ant? I remember Savage Dragon 83 very vividly. It was one of the early issues I dug out of a bin when I was trying to fill in a bunch of Savage World stuff when I was first getting in. It's, if I remember correctly, it's the issue that introduced us to the Annie character.
Yes, in
Got it.
God Town.
Yep.
And I guess that's why it sticks out to me, as well as the art style thing. Because if I remember also correctly, there's like a hard. It starts regular with the inks, and then Dragon gets teleported away, and he wakes up, and it's the new open line style. And it was very
I
unique.
remember that.
I didn't really know what to make of it because I had very little context on.
It also had the Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers.
Oh yeah, those guys.
Sorry, had to interject.
No, that's good. They're getting a cartoon show. It's very timely.
Now, I have a fun idea. Do you two have your own ideas? I want to go last.
No, you can go. I don't have one yet.
All right. So, I'm going to be controversial.
Ooh.
What I'd like to see an issue of Ant, or even Savage Dragon, painted by Nikos Kuntis, like, over Larsen.
He still fucked up his name.
I'm sorry.
Just kidding. Kutsis?
Kuntis?
We know what you mean. Go
His
ahead.
current coloring style, I think, has a very watercolor element to it. And I think if Erik did a bunch of layouts, and maybe even like tight pencils, he could just use his coloring skills to make it look painterly. And I think that would be a really killer look for an issue or 3.
Very interesting. I was not expecting that. So you're saying Erik with a more pencil-y finish, and then Nikos coming in strong with painterly like looks, right?
Like you wouldn't be able to see the pencils in the final product. It would just be the colors.
Okay. Yeah, weird. Is there an issue of Dragon that had a moment like that we could point to?
The only thing I can think of is possibly the Wanted cover. That has but I'm pretty sure that has inks as well.
That's J.G. Jones, and that was...
No, not the J.G.
Eric's
Jones
cover.
one. The Eric's cover.
Oh, the Erik cover.
I have to-
He also had a rejected one, remember?
That's
With,
right.
like Malcolm with a backpack or a sack. Not Malcolm, Dragon walking down the highway, kind of.
It looked cool.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, go ahead. The Wanted cover is the one with Malcolm. I keep saying Malcolm. Dragon's face on the ground, right, with the gun pointed to his head.
Yeah, and I'm looking closely at it, and it's very clearly got Erik inks over it. But they're also, there's a lot going on with the color to make it more grimy and deep shadows and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say that's exactly what I'm talking about, but it is closer. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say go full Alex Ross. I mean, stick with the coloring style. Just put it over top of the inks. Like, I don't know. I think it would be a fun experiment.
That's a good one, dude.
Although I don't know how much more extra work that would be for Nikos and whether or not Erik would go for it, seeing as quote unquote his art wouldn't really be seen.
Yeah, technically. But you know what he likes to do? He does like to repurpose stuff, and that would technically give him his original artwork and then a second final finished page, so he could later on showcase the original artwork somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying. Well, that's a good one, Craig. Do you have yours, or do you want me to go?
Why don't you go?
I got an easy one. I always thought Herculean had a cool, sort of scratchy look. I know it was a 24-hour comic, and yet I think that it had a lot of really good cartooning. You know, it's just like it's like not his typical rendering style, but it's just, you got that solid, you know, Erik Larsen cartooning in action, but it was just kind of like there was something rough to it. You know what I mean?
Well, that makes me think of the last Larsen Supreme issue as well.
Yeah, I think you could point to that as a good example too. So if Ant was to change styles, which I like Ant's current style, but if Ant changes styles in the future, I wouldn't be mad if he did some of that kind of like, you know, that kind of like Herculean looking art. And that's my pick.
I would say I would like to see him go in the opposite direction and get a real kind of thick ink line or something, like maybe a Chick Stone type, almost coloring book, like just to see what it would look like. So you get one completely opposite direction, or it maybe would be cool to see, and this is probably just a pipe dream, but like just different people inking his stuff and tightening it up. And I don't know if that's even a possibility. It seems like Ant's going to be a one-man show just for economic reasons, but
you know what, I'm going to put it out there for the listener. We're playing God here. We're basically going to just be saying whatever we want. So you know what, Craig? Money's not an issue. Money's not an issue.
Well, Erik says he draws too loose, really, for an inker, but
that's what it would says.
I would enjoy seeing different people inking himself, and maybe even some of the more semi-pro type people just getting a crack at it.
I'm just jumping on your bandwagon here. I'm kind of just like cheating a little and throwing in like a second art direction. But you know what? I'm going to agree with you. If there was another like weird kind of direction to take the book, you know what would be a weird departure from the one-man band? To go the complete other direction and have a full team. And do you know what we've never seen in Savage Dragon? Or really, you don't see it in much North American comics at all. I would be interested to see if you're going to bring in a team, the assistant approach, where Erik maybe could still draw the main characters however he wants, but then some assistant draws the backgrounds.
There you go. Yeah.
So you had that in Cerebus. You know, obviously we had Gerhard, doing the backgrounds with Sim. Guess what? Erik loves Scott Pilgrim. Well, you think the final volumes of Scott Pilgrim, O'Malley brought on an assistant, and if you look at those trades or whatever, those graphic novels, it's some of the best looking shit. Because you still got O'Malley doing the cartoony main characters, but then you got those super beautiful detailed backgrounds. Hey, that's another direction Ant could take, is the whole collaborator appearance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and just kind of piling on that, even if it's not every issue, maybe it'd be nice to see Erik do kind of an arc and then have someone come in for an issue and kind of give Erik a breather. It's not like it's Savage Dragon and you want to, keep your run intact. This is a whole new animal. You don't have to be confined by that. You know what I mean? You can bring someone in for an issue or something and help you catch up.
Dude, absolutely. Like like Ant could kind of be like, since he doesn't have to be precious about it, like you said, it's not like his near and dear to his heart baby. It's a thing that dropped in his lap that he never thought he was going to have in his lap. Like, basically, if he was to have Ant almost be like the anti-Savage Dragon, where like he brings on like, you know, yeah, dude, that's a great idea.
That's what I do.
You don't think
Write
it would
good letters, good
you
ideas.
don't think it would you don't think it would bother people to have an inconsistent like art team?
No.
You know, here's the thing. After 30 years of seeing Erik one-man band it, almost, you know. I mean, obviously he had colorers and letterers and colorists. But, like, after 30 years of seeing Erik do it, don't you think it'd be cool and fun to see what other people brought to his work? That was what was kind of cool.
Absolutely.
That's what was kind of cool about his Supreme, because you had Erik pencils, Alan Moore writing, and Corey Hampshire finishes.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a weird hodgepodge that you never are going to get regularly from him.
But like you were suggesting rotating teams, right? Like
Well,
different
Craig was
inkers.
Craig was just playing with the idea of like arcs.
Oh,
like
I see,
if
arcs.
you wanted to like take a breather and catch up with something else, someone could come in and do an issue or two.
Right. Yeah, maybe.
Or like if
Kind
you
of like
wanna
Spawn.
of-
Think Spawn
Yeah.
or something.
Yes, dude. So, like, for instance, that would create that Spawn-like thing where you could be like, oh, the Capullo run was so good, or, you know, whatever else. Kind of like, I don't know, I think it would free him up, like you said, to just, I don't know, flex his creativity. Like, what would Erik do if he had, like, fucking, who's that guy that draws, he's a young guy, but he draws just like Art Adams, works at Marvel, Nick Bradshaw. What would Erik do? What kind of story would Erik write if he knew, hey, he had a Nick Bradshaw type doing the visuals? You know what I'm saying?
I also think that helps kind of pull in new readers and keeps the title fresh, you know?
Ooh, that's a good idea. Man. I hope he hears that one. That's a good-ass idea.
I'm
Hey,
sure
man.
he thought of
Yeah.
something like
Yes,
that.
Eric. Yes, Raven.
I'm sure he would never do that. Yeah, like that's fucking like the dream impossible.
Yeah, he's
You know
listening
what?
to you saying, "What a stupid idea."
Yeah, he's just laughing. Dumbasses.
So basically, that's that. You know what? Hey, thank you for all the responses we had last time. Please write us in this time and tell us, hey, you know, if Ant changes art direction, what would you like Erik to do with it? You know what I'm saying? And of course, what's that email, Craig?
SavageFINcast@gmail.com. Press the button. Send it in.
You know, I'm super hungry. I might need
Well, it's been a
double.
while.
I might need a double dose of meat and potatoes.
Well, more an appetizer than a meal, because while we did interview Erik recently about Ant number 1, we didn't really go over it in any detail. So it's probably worth just mentioning real quick what happens and what we thought of it. Although I think we talked about what we thought of it. Actually, I think that was a FINteresting conversation, so we're good there.
But you're just saying basically we're just going to loosey-goosey
Yes.
just sort of tackle it. Not deep on this one.
Right. It's mostly a flashback. Well, not a flashback. It goes back to the start of Ant's story. We see her as a child. Her scientist dad. I believe we're seeing it from like her quote unquote real point of view, whereas the Gully issues were more abstract. If I remember correctly, the Ant character is a character in her head.
Right.
In fact, we get a little taste of that in the opening, where we see Ant fighting the quote unquote Batman villains, as that is a thing she is drawing. Which I gotta say,
coolest part of the book.
which I gotta say, harsh, Craig.
What? I liked it. That pinup was the coolest part of the book, I thought.
I gotta
It
say,
was.
a child of her age drawing like Erik Larsen is impressive.
That's her imagination. You see her real art.
Oh, that's true. Oh, right. Yes.
And it stinks.
I can tell what's going on. I was terrible at limbs for a long time. Still am.
I'm not
Listen.
sure about the name Half Black. It's a little weird.
That's
Well, that's a legacy
dicey.
name. That's a legacy name from the Paul Dragon era.
It
Right.
is?
I'm pretty...
No.
No?
It's half man or something.
Yeah, he
Oh.
was half man.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Fake fan. You know what? Hannah, little art direction here. If you're gonna draw Ant, you gotta give her ass. Sorry, kid.
I think we get plenty.
I can't approve it. Can't approve it.
Yeah, I think we talked about this when we talked about issue 12. I thought there's... Well, she's in street clothes a lot, and then we get a good butt shot right at the end.
Let me say Carrie Wolf is a total dickhead, and I love it. You've definitely got someone who Eric's building to just be like a hated presence in Hannah's life.
Yeah.
Goddamn, Carrie sucks.
I love when she grows up and she's basically wearing the same outfit.
Right, dude.
You don't wear the same clothes as you did as a child? I do. All button-ups and blue jeans.
Jim walks around the house in like full pajamas, bunny pajamas.
Yeah, Carrie Wolf's a total dickhead. Yeah, man. Basically, yeah, you got a lot of time jump shit. It goes straight from Hannah being a kid to Hannah being an adult.
And her epic origin of being injected by a mystery serum by her father.
You know, he injects himself with it too. Is the really interesting thing?
Yeah,
I never read
doesn't. Does he?
I think. Oh, he does. No, you're misinterpreting. I would say it's a tangent, but not exactly. See, he's about to.
Oh, see, he's got his sleeve. He rolls his sleeve up.
Yeah, but you can see the needle coming out of the tube.
Yeah, but why
he's
is he
about
rolling?
to do it to himself, but then
Right.
he got shot, so it's too late for him.
Oh, dude, there you go.
Because if he would have done it, he could have used it to protect his daughter.
Got it. I'm a simpleton.
This is why we had to talk about it, so to point out Raven's mistakes.
Well, no, I mean, I just, there's blood in the gutters on this sequence is all. But you're 100% right. He's about to administer it to himself, but then he gets shot before he can. I interpreted it as he gave himself a little squirt, and then he turned around and gave her a shot.
Nope.
I'm a dumbass. I actually wondered why he died. I was like, didn't he give himself the shot too? You're good, dude. You're good.
And then, of course, we see her anemic, memory loss, and being...
I'm not sure what...
Amnesiac.
Did you just say amnesiac?
Yes.
Amnesiac.
Getting recruited by this Apollo Steel America business soldier man.
Yeah, he's awesome, dude. Just this big, giant fucking weirdo.
We didn't mention she did save her dad, even though he was shot. She pulled him out.
We know he's alive because he shows up in issue 12.
Well, yeah, but it's like she kills the special agent. But her first manifestation of her powers is that she kills her special agent. You see a lot of Hannah's got some issues here. She doesn't remember things. She says something happened, something bad. I don't quite remember. I got to be honest with you, fellas. I don't love it.
Well, it kind of has to exist in order to explain the parallel storytelling.
Correct, but
because this is the quote-unquote true history.
Right. I'm still just saying though that if I had my rathers, I would have probably rathered that Ant started clean and not bother itself with that too much. And instead, we very much have a Hannah that is in insane asylums and can't remember things. And I was kind of hoping that wouldn't maybe be the case. Hope she gets better is all I'm saying.
Well, I think the reasoning is she got hit by a car, and that started giving her memory issues, maybe. Maybe not. She does get hit by a car, though. At any rate, let's get to why we're here.
The real meat and potato. That was, as an appetizer, that was a wacky appetizer.
So I remember when I first saw this cover for issue 2, and I had concerns as it seemed like a very throwback to the War on Terror and, kind of jingoistic, that sort of thing. Well, now it makes sense because she's been recruited and manipulated into doing this.
Erik addressed this on Twitter in depth. Somebody said they didn't like that. They said they didn't like this imagery, that, they thought it was a vilification. And granted, Erik copped to that. He was like, yeah, I get it. He's like, I totally get that. He's like, but you got to understand. And he actually had a Savage Dragon. It was so weirdly convenient. He had a Savage Dragon dialogue where Malcolm's like fucking talking shit about people that like lump all, overseas folks in as like terrorists or whatever. And it's just, and like, he was like, here's the thing. He's like, you just can't have a protected group. He's like, so yeah, there will be some terrorists. He's like, but, here's this very same, there are also people that are not. He's like, so I have both groups represented. He's like, so you just can't have safe groups. He's like, you have to write things. And I remember Kirkman kind of was taking some heat for that too. People were like, Kirkman, you kill minorities. He's like, no, I kill all kinds of people. He's like, all kinds of people die. He's like, I just don't have safe groups. So I think he kind of addressed it pretty good.
And this is all addressed in the original.
Just real quick, I just wanted to say, my interpretation of events is that she was manipulated. There were no captives. She was just sent in to kill people.
Pretty much.
Which to me...
If you read the original series, she is part of a team that, again, she's a tool of the government.
Right, but you can't take any of that series as factual because her memories have been tampered with. That's the whole point.
Gadget Man says basically we're spoiling the end of this. we're going way out of sequence. But Gadget Man basically says she's weaponized.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
She's a bioweapon, more or less.
But what I'm saying is it implies to me that the Middle Eastern people that we see her slaughter are possibly innocent.
I don't think so. I don't think that's the way this read. This is the way this read because she says twice in this book that there were hostages.
Right, but she's being manipulated. Her memories are being effed with. That's the point. She was told that. That doesn't mean it's true.
Huh. What about the other woman that's with her, though?
Handler.
Gadget Man. Okay.
Her name's Caliente.
I actually didn't think Erik had the rights to her. I was surprised to see her.
He cleared that up in the letters column.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, he's got the rights to the first 9 issues worth of characters.
Yep.
But I think it's pretty straightforward. I mean, again, I don't know. I didn't write this, but I think that she's just being weaponized, and this is following up on after 9/11, and she's a tool of the government to fight insurgents.
But the fact that they don't find captives at the end suggests to me that there were no captives, which puts into question everything.
That's such a better interpretation. I thought
these people are self-defense. This is self-defense.
I thought she flipped out and killed the captives too.
Well, I mean, it can be read that way, but I choose to read it the other way until
your
Erik
interpretation
says otherwise.
Your interpretation is better writing. Mine was more of just like the way I interpret is kind of like a shock value thing. Like she just showed up and flipped out and fucking killed everybody. But your interpretation is better writing because it's like, oh, there were no captives. I was manipulated. That's good, dude. I think I like yours better.
Actually, reading the very last page here, Gadget Man does say that her mission was to slay the insurgents that the U.S. government, had fortified and radicalized. So she's basically cleaning up their mess, the government's mess.
It's also...
So I guess maybe they weren't nice people, but...
Well, it's playing with the notion where, and America does this, where like they set up dictators,
Right.
So Gadget Man's just having a little bit of a crisis of conscience because he's like, hey, you're in here killing these people, but we fucking put them in here. That's good. That's good.
How old do you think she is at this point?
It's an interesting point because we're jumping around time pretty good.
Like she a teenager?
No.
She refers to this training with this facility. She's like someday I'm going to look back and think this is the happiest years of my life.
Right, because they're not in modern day right now. And Erik has said that, I think, in the letters pages or somewhere or on Facebook. Like, we're going to get to modern day eventually. And don't forget, even like the events of Savage Dragon. I don't know if this is playing real time like Savage Dragon, but
he said that
Savage Dragon was 5 years ago. But
Yeah,
still,
he said
this
it's
is
not gonna
still, you know, this is still Iraq or whatever.
I think it's in that era, right? It's like some Desert Storm era shit.
I mean, that's when it came out originally.
Not Desert Storm, but
No, not Desert Storm.
no,
War on
Draven's
Terra.
saying Desert Storm.
right.
No, it's War on Terror.
You're right, not Desert Storm. What the fuck am I saying?
Desert Storm
Well,
2.
I think you're right, Raven. I think in the original Ant series, they refer to her fighting in Desert Storm as a kid because the time is all wacky there. So there might be something to that, but not. I don't think Eric's writing that at all like this.
It is so pathetic that we've had so many like overseas wars and shit that we don't even know what the fuck war this is. It's like,
No, it's just because for me it's the timeline. Like
Right.
because when this came out in the early 2000s, you know, 10, 15 years earlier, Desert Storm made more sense.
I get you. Yeah, I get what you're saying. To sort of do more to like jerk us backwards in time here a little bit and do sort of more of the like as we go blow by blow kind of thing. This interior cover, you know, the secondary cover with the big indomitable ant faces the apocalypse. This is just a fun splash page. I like this. With the solid yellow for the background.
Yeah.
I like the layout. I like the, you know, approach to the coloring. You know, I just think the knockout where it's just solid yellow is good. I think it just really has a kick-ass visual.
You're a color theorist. Is yellow and red like opposites?
You know what is so funny? I'm a colorist who doesn't use color theory.
I see.
So I would have to Google the color wheel and see if they're opposite.
I would just invert the colors in Photoshop and double check.
I believe some of these pages, like the one where the mother comes to visit, are basically redrawn Mario Gully pages from earlier issues.
Sure.
From the earlier series.
In fact, her shocked, angry face doesn't look very Larsen.
No, I'm definitely pretty sure I've seen the Mario version of that.
I don't have the pages up, but for Facebook users, Erik started a gallery for the swipes and homages and stuff that he's
That's
doing
right.
for
I
Mario.
forgot.
Yep. So if you're interested, listeners, in seeing exactly which pages are like kind of lifted right from the original series, he has it out there for everybody to see. See how big Steel is next to his little assistant?
She's very tiny.
I'm just saying, I think Steel is just a cool, like, you know, he's just a bald dude, but I think he's just an awesome character. And I think
Also,
the thing...
I have to really appreciate his comment about checking the mitochondria being the powerhouse of the cell. I think we all had that science class.
You really have no idea what you're talking about, do you?
It's so good, dude. It's such a good reaction. Also, I appreciate that Erik is feels like more attention into like body diversity. Like, you know, the assistant's not the cliche Erik Larsen woman.
No.
It's cool. It's good. I like it. I like the attention.
Yeah, there's a lot of great cartooning on different types of like characters, and like just normal characters that look very.
Now, to be fair, we're not sure which ones might be Mario drawn because, like the bully's design is straight out of his.
That's true. I do think he redesigned Gadget Man.
He did. And we saw some old pictures of Gadget Man from the original 12 issues.
He's like more handsome, right?
Yeah, he's much more handsome. The way Erik interpreted him is intentionally more kind of like dweebish.
Well, with a name like Gadget Man, you have to be by law.
Right. Did you say Carrie Wolf's design is more Mario?
I think it's straight copied from the Mario design.
It's good. It's a good design. So, Ant's mom triggers this, like, fucking... She hulks out and breaks out of her facility just by the mere mention of Ant's dad. And, like, what is Ant's mom kind of, like... talks to fucking Hannah like she's not... like Ant? Like, what the hell? I'm a little confused on that.
What do you mean?
Right, I don't get why Ant's mom is just... Maybe is in this point in time she doesn't know that she's Ant?
I think she's just drawn the pictures of her fantasy character, right? Or no?
No, I don't know if she is... What are you saying? You're not sure it's her actual mom?
No, you're saying you don't know... Her mother doesn't know she's Ant.
Right.
Like what I think is that Hannah's just drawing pictures of the ant, and her mom's like, "I wish you were actually the ant because you could."
Got it. I didn't draw that connection.
I don't know for sure.
All right, that makes sense.
I gotta say, me only knowing Ant from Eric's 12:1 and 2, that didn't read so clear for me.
So let me ask you guys a question because I don't fully understand this unless.
Okay.
She was drawing pictures of the ant as like a little kid. But she wasn't injected
right
until later.
What a wacky coincidence. Although I think it may be implied that her father based it off her idea.
Yeah, that's how I gathered it. I gathered that she just had the imagination, and you kind of get the suggestion of the DC characters that she was a comic reader. And so she just had it in her mind to, like and have superhero visuals. And then I guess, like, she used that M&M thing, inspired her dad. It's like just like an M&M, a thin shell. And then, like, when she gets ant powers, it's just a combination of she inspired her dad, and this is a character she always had in her mind anyway. Is that how you guys get it?
I don't know. I have no idea. My head hurts thinking about it.
I gotta be honest. This is my only criticism right now with Ant, is I think that it still has a little bit too much baggage. Where it should.
I agree. I agree with what you said earlier. I wish it would have been tied up in like issue 12 and almost started fresh, where you don't really need to rely on the old series for the new series.
I gotta disagree with both of you.
Ooh.
I don't think it's made better by being by references to previous, but I don't think it's that confusing. I find it pretty straightforward. Like, the only thing that might have confused me is like what set her off. Well, the last thing her mother says is maybe your father would still be alive. So to me, she's getting triggered by the guilt, and that's really all there is to it.
Well, I gotta be honest, man. I'm not confused. I mean, this is all clear. The narrative is clear. Like, we're moving through. I
think you're both thinking too hard about things that are.
The little details are what's getting me. So,
right.
Like I'm saying, the broad strokes I've got, but like when Hannah's mom's like, sometimes I wish you were Ant. It's like I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. So she knows about Ant, but she doesn't know that Hannah is Ant.
Right. Why was she?
Well, it's because of the
She's
time
been in an
thing.
insane asylum. In fact, I'm pretty sure her mom's just thinks she's in the crazy house after her father died.
I'm just going to say it's because I read fucking issue 12 and she's like hugging her mom and shit. Like, it's like, issue 12 kind of fucked with my mind is all.
Well, remember that takes place in the future.
I'm saying it messed with me.
So I guess my question, though, is why does she reference the ant in the first place? Is Ant someone that's in the news, or is it because
no? She's talking
Hannah
about the drawings she made as a child, the fantasy world that she made for herself. Her mom wants her to wishes she, could be the superhero of her fantasies, not knowing that she's already has the potential.
Right. I get that now that you've explained it. I'm saying that I felt that perhaps that's not going to be necessarily clear for everyone.
Yeah, for me, it was not. Is it like that dominated her childhood drawing this ant?
I mean,
it's not
Raven,
clear.
How many years did you draw? How many years did you draw your Raven's Dojo characters? How long did Erik draw Savage Dragon?
I get it, but it's not clear that she's obsessed with the character, or if it was just kind of like a one-off thing that was just strange that she.
I think
I don't understand the tie of. It's like a little for me. It's a little stretch that like the ant kind of looks like her drawing. You know what I mean?
It's
like,
a pacing.
Is there something more to that, or
I'll tell you what it is. It's a pacing issue because he's moving along so quick. Because here's the thing: is we see Hannah draw Ant as a kid, right?
Yeah.
And for people who have heard or read interviews, that Ant is a character that Hannah drew as a kid. However, I'm not taking that. I'm taking what's on the page.
Yeah, I guess in the regular series,
you see her
drawing Ant as a character.
You see her drawing Ant as a kid, but a lot of people abandon.
You don't know if she's like obsessed with the character.
In fact, I'll bet you anything. Her father talks about it in issue 1, because again, that's where he got the inspiration from.
Yes, but she's still a kid in that scene.
Yeah.
Well, how many people draw as a kid and then quit forever?
Well,
the fact
draw
for like 4 months.
The fact that her mother mentioned it suggests to me, on its own, that it was either an ongoing thing or it was enough of a big enough thing to be memorable.
I feel like that's asking perhaps a bit much.
I think the original series probably fleshed that out more, that she was obsessed with it.
I would say probably if you were reading the original series, it wouldn't be so strange to you. You'd be like, oh yeah, she drew Ant all the time. Here in the
first issue, it's even the father is like, who's that? So he's like seeing it for the first time. So it's not established that she's like.
Well, let's go back to the first page real quick. You realize this is a fantasy, right? That she's having in her padded cell.
Her kicking the guards?
Yeah. This is
forward.
This is the imprinted mission that they've been manipulating her with. This is in her head. She talks about it in the dialogue in the cell. Then later she goes and does it for real.
Holy smoke. That is a good take. I guess you're right. Yeah, it's a subtle, but
she's narrating like she's a comic book.
Well, to me, I took it as that was a previous mission, and now she's back.
I thought it was a previous mission.
This is the imprint that they've been manipulating her with. She's being mentally manipulated.
That I interpret it how Craig did, though. Like that.
To me, exactly it's either. To me, it's either a previous mission or it's the events that happened in this book, and now at the beginning of the book, she's kind of going through what happened. Because if you look at like when she's actually out doing the stuff again, it's the same pink boxes. So in the beginning, she's in her cell. Her inner dialogue's a pink box. She's recapping what happened, and then you see what actually happened.
But I should point out that it appears she repeats some of the stuff she said at the beginning when she's getting airdropped in.
Well, the repeating really helps me buy what you're selling. That, it is just like something that it's training. Like it's just in her mind. Like, this is just a thing she goes through. But I got to tell you, Jim, I thought she was just remembering a previous mission too. I thought that
and then we see the mission. So to me, she's in her cell now. This is after Gadget Man took her out, brought her back. But that doesn't make sense because he's saying, I'm setting you free.
You think being in the cell takes place at the end of the issue?
No, it doesn't now when I'm reading it because he said he's setting her free.
Because she's in an insane asylum, or at least a government facility masquerading as one. And because you can see when her mother visits her, she's got cage on her window.
Right. No, I was thinking that it was she's sitting in her cell after the events of what happened. Because they took her out and now they brought her back. But it's not because he's saying, I'm setting you free.
Right. He's turned off whatever the mental manipulation device is.
So to me, she's just thinking of previous missions, unless
I think she's repeating. She's repeating a mantra that she's been programmed with.
So if we step back, we can see that there's some repetition, and it's intentional, I'm sure. But Ant also flashes back to her fucking childhood and other out of.
But no, that's events. That's actually not a flashback. That's another fantasy in her head. She has a dream where she's an adult in school and nothing's different. It literally says, "I had a dream."
Yeah, I had a dream
where I'm back in
school,
Brooklyn.
So what about the guys when they're like assaulting her in the alley and she kills them all?
Yeah, that's real. She's fallen back into this mentality of that she's in school. That's why she got the backpack and the books. And then when the attack happens, and you see the aftermath. That's how she gets taken back into government custody, because you see her in her jumpsuit with the manacles on.
I know you're going to say that it's not confusing at all, but can you see how I might, with all these jumping arounds and some things are real and some things are fantasy, can you see how I might be a little confused?
Like, I realize it might be tricky, but like the whole premise is that she keeps falling back on these delusions and these fantasies. The reason she looks young is because in her mind she's young. Because you see her young going around the corner, and then you turn around and you see her all bloody in the alley.
I don't love that, though, is what I'm saying. Like, as a reader, when we talked about Mario's aunt, the thing that was discussed that was problematic is that there was just too much questioning of reality and things jumping around. Like, was Aunt... all her imagination, was it whatever?
But that's the whole premise, is that she's been manipulated this whole time.
Well,
and we're seeing both sides now, whereas before we didn't see both sides.
Well, to me, I can't tell in that double-page splash where she's in the insane asylum how old she is. Is she still a kid there?
Looks like an adult to me.
Like an adult.
Looks like an adult to me.
All of those captions that she's saying, like Jim pointed out, are all repeated in that scene below when she's in Iraq. I believe that scene in Iraq, she's a teenager or a young 20-something, and I believe the scene where she's in the insane asylum is years later. And she's thinking through what happened.
It can't be, because after the alley scene, we see her in jail. She's been taken back into custody and returned to the government.
She was younger. She's going through her whole life while she's in the insane asylum right now.
See, listen, I'm going to say that.
So I'm saying that the insane asylum is current day, and everything in this comic book is her thinking through different stages of her life.
I think you guys
Can I say I interpreted it the same way as you? And can I say that I don't feel bad? Because check out this dialogue. You say her getting beat up by Carrie Wolf is like, clearly a dream. But she literally says, I had a dream, or at least I thought it was a dream.
Right. Hey, she can't tell the difference.
So Erik, she doesn't know what's a dream and what's her memories, and she's sitting in that insane asylum.
Exactly.
And this whole book is her going through the events that she doesn't know is real or just a dream, and that's why it's repeated.
Exactly. I'm telling you that I was on the same page as Craig. Craig, me and you actually interpreted this the exact same. But I'm not saying, Jim, that yours is bad or that it doesn't work. But I'm just saying that I feel like, after talking to you guys, because what's funny is when I read this, I didn't feel confused at all. I was like, man, this is good. I love this. And I was like, but it's a little weird with all the jumps and, some things are dreams and she doesn't know what's real or even where she is or whatever. And after talking to you, I realized that this is something that is jumbled about. And I feel like it's either A, a problem for you, or B, it's kind of the way it's written. Like, it's meant to be a little bit confusing.
Well, yes, it is. I mean, that's the whole idea.
Right. And so now that we've arrived at that, can you see how that might not be great?
But there's always dialogue to recontextualize what you just saw. The page right after the alley scene, it says, the trial didn't go well, the hearing, whatever. I ended up behind bars. Months later, I'm back here, wherever here is, which means this takes place after she escaped the first time.
I also get that
to me,
there's
she's still going through like all of her life to date.
That's what I'm saying. And clearly you have, so like, check it out. I get there's continuity clues. For instance, Steele loses control of Hannah and his whole division. Like, this new leader is over the division and Steele has no sway. And that's new. So I get that there's huge continuity clues that we're moving forward. But I still feel like Craig may be right. This is also how I interpret it. That although we are moving forward through her life from childhood to adulthood, that she is narrating her life from potentially that cell.
What makes me think that is because all those dialogue boxes are exactly identical and repeated. And I know what you were saying, Jim, but that's what makes me think that she's going through all this in her head.
I think it can be both.
I think it's all real, except for the parts that aren't.
Well, I think it's all real.
I think it's more linear than you guys are taking. I think you guys are struggling with the fact that it's actually more linear than it looks.
I think it's linear. Now, check it out. I do understand that it's, like I said, we're moving forward through her life.
Yeah.
She's even talking about, like, it started with her as a kid, and then she talks about, like, the leaps and times. Erik mentions this in the letters column. He's like, yes, it's a couple pages. He's like, but I have a box that says years pass. He's like, after all, entire science programs aren't created and then dismantled in the space of, weeks or whatever. It would take years. And so I get that we are moving forward through time. And
I get that the only present day panel is the one that she's in the padded room.
Agreed. I
believe that the page after that continues from issue 1 when she was a kid and got stabbed in the butt. Like, they're checking through everything because she just got stabbed as a kid.
Right.
With a needle. Her mother is there when she's a kid, and it's all her sitting in this padded room going through all these points in her life.
Right. And I mean, there's even the dialogue clues of like her, like, oh, looking back, that would be the best days of my life. It's like, that's a reminiscent. She's reminiscing. You know what I mean? About her days training. And then, like, even when she's jumping from the airplane, she's like, oh, I trained my whole life for this, she says to Gadget Man. So it's like, she spent most of her life in that facility. Like, she's telling you that.
No, she's been programmed to believe that to be true. She is programmed.
I get that she's programmed, but I also think
her history, her confusion,
we're moving through this life
is part of a program that she has been implanted with.
No, I just think she's just got a kill switch where she flips out and kills people if they want her to.
It's way more complicated than that, and I don't know. We're gonna have to talk to Erik to confirm this because I don't understand why this is hard for me to explain, or why this interpretation seems so radical.
I don't.
Because it seemed very straightforward to me.
This felt straightforward to me before I started talking to you, too. Like, I think she's programmed, but I don't think huge chunks of her life are fake. I just think that I do believe, I like your interpretation. I think this is the only part where we branch, if I'm honest. I think we're getting more confused talking about this than we actually are. I think that we are all on the same page that this is moving forward. I think we're through her life. I think we're all on the same page that Hannah is clearly alive and looking back at her life from whatever point in the future, right? Like, these issues take place in the past. I think the only point we really vary on...
But I guess I take it as it takes place in the present of the past.
What?
This isn't... to me...
I think the implants...
Hannah in the Cell is in like 2002 or 2003.
Oh, I get you. I get you. So you're saying, all right, so that's your point of contention, is you're saying that the cell, the crazy cell, is not in the present.
It isn't 2022.
It is in the past.
Yeah. We haven't gotten to the present. Well, we got to the present in issue 12. We got to get there first.
I just am not 100% sure, but I feel like she is reflecting on the past from the cell. because she says, I would defeat them all, meaning that they are already defeated from this point that she is remembering. Now, I get where you're saying, Jim, that she is being programmed. I think that's a super interesting theory that actually I had never considered, and I like it. But I also can't say that that's how I first blush read it. When I first blush read it, I read it like how Craig read it. That like this is the present.
I do think she's got implants and they're screwing with her memory
Yes.
so that it's foggy for her to understand. But I
Agreed.
do believe that what's pictured on the pages are things that actually happened. But
Yes.
I don't know. I think the only way to solve this is to continue to read it.
Yeah, we'll see where issue 3 goes, where it picks up.
I agree. I'm for real legit, like, I'm not feeling confused as I read this. I'm just feeling confused as we talk about it, but I'm not feeling confused as I read it.
But I think, like Jim said, it is supposed to be kind of a confusing timeline. We are
Agreed.
supposed to be a little confused about what's present, what's past, what's real, what's not, because that's the whole point of the character. Is she's
I
been
agree.
screwed with.
Yeah, I agree with that. You know what? We've been talking about this whole big thing. I don't feel like we've given like some of the super key moments their due. I think that this issue was more solid than any of Erik's previous ants. I think it was better than 12. I think it was better than 1. If it was me, I would have loved to see this be number 1, because this is full of awesome kick-ass action. It's got splash pages that are fucking killer. And I think that like kill switch moment where she just flips out and fucking kills everyone, whether you interpret it the way Jim did, where it was like, oh shit, there were never any real captives, or whether you interpret it the way I did, where she flipped out and killed everyone, I think it still lands either way. I think it's like really fucking interesting either way. So I think that this would be a better number 1 than number 1 was. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
How do you guys feel just overall? Like, just give it a rating.
Well, I like this issue a lot. I think it's an 8 or a 9.
Wow.
I think it looks good, and I think what Erik's doing with the story is compelling. More so than I thought it might have been, seeing as it would cover a lot of the same ground as the original series.
Cool. So you're more on board with Ant than
Oh,
you
yeah.
were.
This issue was very good to me.
Cool. I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to give it an 8. I do think that it did a whole lot better than the previous issues did. I just to end, I don't mind being a little confused as a reader, because guess what? You gain clarity as you get new issues. So it super doesn't matter. I don't give a shit. I actually like reality questioning stuff. And Jim, I enjoyed talking to you, because if your interpretation ends up being real, that's cool. I like it. I think that's a very cool interpretation. I'll just end by saying I love the addition of letter art, like art that is like in the letters column. Ken Albury did that, and it's super cool. I think that's awesome. More people, I wish, would do art that is just printed in the letters column. And this is a really awesome letters column. It's got some really good letters. I don't think we're really going to get into it, but please, if you're listening, take a moment to read some of these letters. I think that this is one of the more engaging letters that even, Savage Dragon has even had. So I think this is a cool letters section. I'm glad to see it. Love the back matter. Love the extra unused cover for 3. Just to me, this, you know what? Talking about it, with all that extra stuff, I'm going to bump it up to 8.5.
Craig?
I'm still at a 6, I think. I don't know what I rated the last one. I'm not fully on board with Ant yet. It's interesting. I'm intrigued. If 5 is average, I'm slightly above average. I'm not as hooked yet. I don't think it's horrible. I don't think it's, I think it's enough to keep me interested in going. I am a little concerned about what the next issues will hold. If it's just kind of a rehash of what already happened, I'll be a little disappointed.
Same.
But Yeah. I would just, I just want to kind of keep moving and see where this goes.
Right on.
I don't like when people just kind of judge kind of a series after like 2 issues and stuff. I believe we got to give it space to grow and let it kind of flesh out a little bit, and then I'll have a better opinion of it.
That's fine. You know what? I could see where you would have a 6, dude, because I get it.
I'm not the biggest fan of the kind of looser art. I enjoy it here and there. I like tighter kind of inks. Mm-hmm. So that's part of it. But like I said, the story has not fully grabbed me. We'll see, though. I'm going to give it time.
Fair. That wraps it up. Hey, dudes, Ant number 3 is probably already going to be in your hot little hands by the time you get this, but let me just solicit it for you anyway. The Spider and the Spawn. It's a groundbreaking Spawn-Ant crossover from a whole new perspective as Ant pursues the deadly King Spider. Spawn finds himself drawn into her adventures. Now they'll have to work together to shut down this callous killer and the even darker menace behind him. And there you go.
So yeah, that's it for this episode of the Savage FINcast. Of course, you can always leave a comment right into our FINteresting Conversations, or just want to say hi to our email at savagefincast@gmail.com, or leave us a message on our website, savagefincast.com. And as always, you can find us on iTunes, YouTube, and Spotify, and Anchor FM. So thanks for listening.
Thank you, everybody.